Ardderchog, croeso cynnes iawn i ni gyd sydd yma yn Llandudno, neu os ydych chi'n ymuno ni ar-lein i gyfarfod blynyddol ein elusen fel bwr iechyd ac Awyr Las wrth gwrs yw'r elusen sydd yn cwmpasu yr ymdrechion yn y maes yna fel elusennau. Ac ni fel bwrdd, aelodau'r bwrdd ydy'r ymddiriedolwyr, felly ein cyfarfod ni ydy hwn ac mae gennym ni ein materion arferol fel adroddiadau blynyddol ac yn y blaen. Dyn ni wedi croesawu yr arglwydd Barry Jones o lan ei dyfrdwy ato ni fel ein llywydd anrhydeddus am y cysdi efo ni hefyd fel swyddog. Felly, dyn ni am fynd trwy'r materion, dwi'n meddwl, fesul 1. Mae gennym ni hefyd gadeirydd pwyllgor elusennol efo ni Dyfed Jones bydd yn gwneud cyfraniad, dwi'n siŵr. Yr eitem gyntaf felly ydy cofnodion y cyfarfod blaenorol. Unrhyw un efo unrhyw beth i ddweud, a mae Kirsty, croeso ti ddeud unrhyw beth, unrhyw bryd yn y cyfarfod, cofia. Ydy pawb yn hapus efo'r cofnodion blaenorol?
Yep.
Os dyn ni'n gallu cofio hwnna. A rwan, adroddiad blynyddol ar cyfrifon i ni gymrydwyo, a dwi'n meddwl dwi am droi at Kirsty gynta, neu a wedyn Russ, neu Russ gynta.
Na, i ddod i mewn, mae'n allan roi mewn yn fan hyn, a wedyn gai basio ymlaen wedyn, a dwi jyst eisiau tegu y croeso i yn llywydd anrhydeddus yr arglwydd Barry Jones. Diolch, Barry. Thank you for being with us today. It's an honour to have you here with us at the Trustees meeting. Dwi eisiau hefyd, jyst yn sydyn deud, pa mor falch ydw i fod yn gadeirydd ar y pwyllgor yma ac ar Awyr Las. Mae Kirsty mynd i sôn mewn chydig am beth sydd wedi digwydd dros y flwyddyn diwethaf ac edrych ar yr adroddiad blynyddol. Ond mae gynnon ni bobl arbennig iawn sy'n yn cefnogi ni, tima ar draws y bwrdd iechyd, ac maen nhw wedi cyflawni pethau arbennig iawn. A da ni'n diolch am yr gefnogaeth da ni'n cael hefyd gan gleifion, gan busnesau, gan sefydliadau a gyn elusennau cenedlaethol hefyd. A dwi'n meddwl bod o'n bwysig i ni atgoffa'n hunan yn fan hyn. O'n rôl ni fel o fewn yr elusen mewn ffordd, a pa mor bwysig ydi o, a fel aelodau'r bwrdd, mae gennym ni rôl bwysig iawn i gyflawni yn hynny. Cyn i ni symud ymlaen at yr adroddiad, dwi'n eisiau cymryd cyfle personol i ddiolch i'r tîm, a mae hynna'n cynnwys dros 400 o rhai sydd yn gweithredu fel fund advisors, sy'n rhoi lot o amser i mewn. Wrth gwrs, dwi eisiau diolch i'r tîm i hun, so mae Kirsty yma, a mae yna aelodau eraill o'r tîm yn gwneud gwahanol roles. Mae Neil yn un, Paula, Elena o'r tîm cefnogi yr elusen, a hefyd dwi'n mynd i nodi hefyd i Wendy a Nick sy'n arwain yn tîm sy'n croesawu pobl sy'n gwirfoddoli. Da ni'n gweld nhw yn ysbytai fel da ni'n cerdded i mewn. Chwarae rôl hynod bwysig. Wedyn, jyst diolch am hynny, a diolch i chi gyd am fod heddiw. Dwi'n meddwl, efo hynny, na i mynd drosodd i Kirsty ar ys i gyflwyno yr adroddiad.
Iawn, gwych. Russell? Diolch.
Diolch, Chair. So, Russell Caldicott, dwi cyfarwyddau gweithredol. Pathydd dwi now, of course. So, it's a real honour and privilege to be able to say that in front of you. And I thank you for the earlier congratulations. If I take you through the accounts, so we prepared the accounts at the same time period as the Exchequer accounts, so up to the 31st of March. but we have a longer period, so the audit always concludes earlier on the Exchequer accounts with Welsh Government timelines. We have to meet the Charities Commission deadline, which is the 31st of January. So we are cutting it fine, but I'm sure it will be good. And so that's why the accounts are here today with trustees. If I tell you a little bit about the accounts, so the accounts effectively in year, roughly 2.3 million this year. So we tend to receive just over £2 million every year, and it was 2.3 million this year. We largely spend that resource, but we're slightly underspent on our values this year. So we've actually spent 1.6 million. So we do need to find good causes to use this resource for the local population, of course. And Kirsty does a great job of drumming up that opportunity throughout all of our managers of those areas. We've also had a gain this year as well on our investments. We did have a loss last year, so it's not all good news, but there's £1 million gain, £700,000 loss. So you can see the markets have recovered. So we do invest the resources to protect against the deflationary aspects of holding resource. And we have roughly a £13.5 million worth of holding currently within the charity. So just a very quick whistle-stop tour. The accounts themselves, they receive an audit through Audit Wales, our colleagues again. I'd like to extend my thanks. I think David's thank many of our officers, but Audit Wales play a key role as well in ensuring the probity around how we use these resources. They've concluded their audit. There were some reclassifications, so just to be aware that within the audit report, you'll see it's an ISA 260, which is essentially just the auditors reporting their findings on the position. The reclassifications were more around small amounts of restricted versus unrestricted allocations. The reason that is not a material issue because we absolutely use the resources and control those resources for the use by the donor. So there is no issue with that, but it is a classification. We've tended to report those elements in that consistent manner for a few years. So you'll see that reclassification goes back a few years as well. So Audit Wales colleagues just asked us to make those adjustments and amendments to retrospective periods that they'd already audited as well as the current year, just so the comparators are correct. So we've done that. It hasn't changed income, expenditure, fund balance, bottom line in any way from the draft submission. And we presented these accounts back through to our charity team, Charitable Funds Committee as well. They were recommended for endorsement through the trustees, and our Audit Wales issue an opinion, which we classify as either qualified or unqualified. The opinion is unqualified, and that means there's a clean bill of health on the accounts. So they truly reflect the transactions that have occurred during the financial period. And they're brought here today before the trustees, really for you to endorse those accounts. And once endorsed, obviously support myself and David as chair in signing those accounts off. And hopefully that's the conclusion we'll get to. And just before, a specific thanks from me, because Neil Williams did a fabulous job in not only coordinating the accounts production, but also in that engagement piece with Audit Wales, with myself, and linking in with Kirsty through that process. So I'd like to say thank you very much for that.
He's just outside but doesn't want to come and interrupt you, so we could open the door and let him in.
If he comes in, just go quiet and say, Russell said it's your yeah, definitely.
It's not as early.
Then eat that.
Yeah.
It's also very timely because if there are any tricky questions, he's
Exactly.
Okay.
If before he comes in, just to add to what Russ said, just on the points of the classification. Russ has just said a huge thank you to you, Neil. What you've done.
I was outside there.
Neil, please take a seat. Diolch yn fawr.
Super. So yeah, just to add to what Russ was saying, just around those classifications, that has come about in part because of the funds that we've received from the NHS Charities Together and other foundations. We've had some fantastic support both in the year that we're reporting on and this year from national foundations, whereby we have agreements, signed agreements in place. But just to just to add to what Russell's already said, huge thank you to Dyfed, not just for your words in the actual document that you all have in front of you, but also for the support that you've given to all of the team and to your fellow charitable funds committee members through the year. Because I think your support has been invaluable. So thank you very much, and also to Lord Barry. I think actions speak louder than words. Your words were wonderful within the annual report, but Lord Barry, as well as coming today, over the past year, has come to meet the Armed Forces League and some veterans, attended the 50th anniversary of the League of Friends in Denby, because Lord Barry is also the president of Attend, which is the national membership organisation of Leagues of Friends. So he wears his hat very well by supporting our charitable partners as well. He also attended the 75th NHS birthday celebrations that we had, although we didn't get you on the zip line this year.
So what's next year?
Exactly. But yes, and you've been to meet various patients and staff throughout the year, and always gives fantastic speeches to really rally the troops on the wall. So thank you. Highlights of the 23-24 year. I know that you've all read the annual report, but I think it is just really important that we draw attention to the fact that throughout the year there was over 5,500 individual donations during that time, which really does show something that you've already touched on around grateful patients and how many grateful patients there are. With an average donation of £254, that is well above the national average, and it really does show how much our communities across North Wales value the services that our colleagues provide, and really value all of our colleagues. A couple of other things to highlight from this year was obviously the 75th anniversary, which was fantastic, but also the transfer of the welcome volunteers from the Royal Voluntary Service across to the Health Board. The service is managed currently by the charity support team. It's fully funded through the charity, and it's absolutely invaluable, with thousands of interactions with the public when they're coming in to both the Ysbyty Gwynedd and the Ysbyty Glencrwyd every year. So huge thanks to Wendy and Nick, who have joined as volunteer coordinators, and also to our, I think it's 67 volunteers currently who provide that service. Thank you very much. I think that's all we needed to say about the report for now, but if we possibly...
Diolch yn fawr.
You're brilliant.
Unrhyw gwestiynau ar yr adroddiad yna, Gareth?
I just want to say, obviously, the charity does fantastic work. It is important that we find the right or good things to spend money on, because I know we're a corporate charity trust, not an individual one, but I've been involved in a number of charities, and clearly, in a way, it's not our purpose to sit on the money, is it? So,
no.
You know, not taking away at all from the wonderful work you're doing, but particularly, you know, given we've had a good year, we need to sort of power on ahead, don't we? So,
yeah, good point. Diolch yn iawn. Carol?
Well, first of all, I can't believe it's a year since we were sat here before, and we were enjoying some of the fruits of other colleagues' work in utilising the funds really well. I just want to agree wholeheartedly with Gareth, and I wonder whether we should now task ourselves, and particularly as executive members of the trustees, to really come forward and support those ideas that come through. Look, Barry talked about our staff, and it is our staff that deliver the care for patients. So I do think there is something about how we might invest in staff and help to, you know, give them opportunity to. Yeah, well, absolutely. And so you're supportive of us, Lord Barry, pushing hard on those investment opportunities around our staff. So I wonder if we could take that action actually. Yeah. So
great. Diolch yn iawn am hynny. Mae gynnon ni rwan bapurau sydd yn rhoi cynodeb o'r flwyddyn dwytha edrych ymlaen i'r flwyddyn nesaf. Dwi'n meddwl eisiau deud rhywbeth bach am hynny. I note on the looking back, looking forward report, it just as a matter of interest, the first page is the audiology team with the audiology ban, and Jane and I were a week ago, I think it was a week ago today, in Llandudno Welsh Government offices where First Minister and the Cabinet Secretary, myself, had an opportunity to learn about that. That is completely funded by our Las. It is the only one in the UK, or the first in the UK. It's currently the only one in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, so groundbreaking, wouldn't exist without the funding of our Las. So it's a great example, I think. But over to you, maybe just if you want to talk about that report a little between you. I don't know how you wish to deal with that, please.
So, Chair, if I just move to the recommendation, and then if we hand over to Kirsty to take us through a
Great.
presentation of a little bit of the celebration of the work that's been undertaken this year.
Yeah, great.
So the recommendation is are members comfortable that we can endorse the annual accounts ready for submission to the Charities Committee, and are comfortable that myself and David apply our signatures accordingly for that submission, both that and letter of representation back to Audit Wales, so they can release the audit opinion. If members are comfortable, we can action that.
Pam Napis, yeah. Diolch yn iawn. Diolch Russ. Kirsty?
Perfect.
Yeah, great. I know we're behind schedule, so I'm gonna canter through this very quickly.
Great.
I think what you've already said about the audiology vehicle really shows how, if we use funds well,
Yeah.
in the way that Gareth has just said, we really can make transformational change. We talk about our LAS going over and above what the NHS can provide and brightening patients' days, but actually often it really does do more than just brighten patients' days. It really does transform things. So the impact of 2024-25, just to reiterate to everyone, rather than going through lots of different examples of how money has been spent over the past year. In 2024, you're able to see, if you look at the Charitable Funds Committee website, you're able to see those lists of what has been funded through the year. And I would like to draw everybody's attention to that, just so that you can see that. And with the chair's reports on a quarterly basis, we do report in there as well about the incredible impact that's happening. Just touching on what Carol has said, we are delighted that finally we have the NHS Charities Together funded staff wellbeing grant scheme, which is going live tomorrow. So that's £243,000. That was all agreed last year and is coming into play this year, which we're absolutely thrilled about. But again, it will hopefully provide us with opportunities to identify what staff really want, really need, and maybe utilise some of those other existing funds to support that work as well. Highlights of 2024-25. One of the highlights has to be that Neil has joined as charity accountant within the team, and is a very welcome new role within the charity scene. So pleased that you could be here today to hear us say that. Another huge highlight, and again, there are so many events throughout the year that it feels not right that we are shining a light on one particular one, but the Starbucks charity ball took place. That was managed by the team staff members from the from the Shooting Star unit and former patients who have established a fund specifically to support patients through their journey with additional wellbeing resources. And they managed to raise over £20,000 through all their efforts at that one event. Plans developed in 2024-25. I think we really need to draw attention to the additional controls that have been put in place over the past year to really help facilitate staff to use their their funds as effectively as possible. First of all, we've drawn up revised charity procedures which are available on the internet as well as the intranet. We have a new charity strategy that very much aligns with the work, with the plans of the health board as well. So again, I know that that's been presented to you all before, but I do encourage you to take another look at that. We were pleased at the end of the year to be able to approve the charitable operational plan as well. We often talk about how we need to increase visibility, and within this operational plan, there are ways of us to be able to do that over the next forthcoming few years. We also developed a document for staff, but also for the Charitable Funds Committee around what can and can't be funded through the charity. The really useful thing about this is that every time we meet to go over grants, we're finding that actually we're setting new precedents, which is brilliant. And we're able to then add to this document. So there's almost a live document to serve as a reminder for everybody about what the charity can do. So a huge diolch yn fawr iawn to all of you. I've tried to keep that as short and sweet as possible, but a huge thank you to all of you. And there we will finish. I won't ask you if you want to say anything else. Thank you.
Oh, brilliant.
Diolch yn iawn. And I'm just sharing with Carol Kirsty, I think for the work of the charity, and I think we can consider how we can do that in a different setting maybe going forward. I think it's really challenging to come at the end of a very long day, at the end of a very long week, at the end of a very long month, you know, to get this window. I want to be fair and to recognise the work that happens. I think we can look at it doing this in a different way, in a different setting, I think, but that's for discussions some of the time. But really grateful for all the work, and I do get messages, as you know, from various people who are really encouraged and want to encourage us in what we're doing in this space. So diolch yn iawn am yr holl waith ac I bawb sy'n gysylltiedig. Reit, unrhyw un sy'n eisiau deud rhywbeth, unrhyw un efo rhywbeth I holi? No, guys. No.
Just to say, I know on the slides you circulated, I thought the one about, you know, what can't be funded, can and can't be funded, the guidance, I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah.
It's excellent, just in one page.
Yeah.
So well done on that.
Yeah.
Very much involved in that.
Yes, she's away. Yes. She's away.
Lucky her.
Yes, but she will be back. So, and thanks again to Neil. Sorry we started a little earlier, but diolch yn iawn am y gwaith ti 'di neud ar y cyfrifon. Ac mae'n dipyn o gamp cael cymeradwyaeth gan y swyddfa archwilio, felly arferchog. Rhywun arall? Na. Felly, nawn ni ddod ar cyfarfod blynyddol yna I ben, gan ddiolch I bawb, a gymryd ni ddiolch hefyd i'r cyhoedd sy'n cyfrannu mewn amrywiol ffyrdd at yr elusen, naill ai trwy weithiau trwy ewyllus, ond hefyd trwy gymeryd rhan mewn rhai gweithgareddau, rhai o'n y weithgareddau anturus iawn, tu hwnt I fi, ond mae'n rhywbeth coeddus iawn, sydd yn peth da, sydd yn helpu roi gwyneb coeddus i'r bwrdd iechyd hefyd. Felly, diolch yn iawn i'r cyhoedd am I gefnogaeth a cyfraniadau nhw'n ogystal. Reit, dyna ddod ar cyfarfod awr las I ben, diolch I bawb, and thanks again